Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
New York lawmakers are pushing to reform oversight and care at nursing homes in the state. As Big Fox News' Matt Kleindienst reports, this comes, of course, in the wake of the controversy surrounding the Cuomo administration's handling of COVID-19 deaths in nursing homes.
Good evening. The New York State Senate passed 11 total bills aimed at increasing the quality of care being provided in New York nursing homes. Their checklist is long, but Senate Majority Democrats say the advancing bills are necessary to address much-needed reform to the state's nursing facilities. Many of the bills were aimed at increasing transparency, such as mandating proper record-keeping of COVID deaths and allowing for infection control audits. Another bill would also mandate nursing homes to disclose violations to prospective residents and their families. Senate Democrats also passed legislation to form task forces dedicated to reimagining long-term care facilities in the state of New York, as well as directing nursing homes to spend more money on direct patient care. Sponsors of the bills say the reforms will provide safer conditions for healthcare workers as well as residents. The bills must pass the New York Assembly before being sent to the governor's desk. Matt Kleindienst, Big Fox, WYDC in Corning.
New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is denying sexual misconduct allegations. Former aide Lindsey Boylan says he gave her an unwanted kiss on the lips in 2018. According to a post she wrote on Medium, Cuomo blocked her from leaving his office after a one-on-one briefing and kissed her. Cuomo denied that allegation through his press secretary. Cuomo's office also reiterated his denial that he once suggested Boylan and former staffers play strip poker while on a flight. 4 staffers who were also on that flight also say that never occurred. Cuomo was also facing allegations of trying to cover up how many nursing home residents in New York died from COVID-19. He has said his office made a mistake and acknowledged not providing data quick enough. Cuomo also said, quote, all the deaths in the nursing homes and the hospitals were fully, publicly, and accurately reported. For the first time since the pandemic began, the situation inside our nation's nursing homes may be shifting. COVID-19 specialist Amanda Decker explains a new report may show just how drastically the vaccines may be changing the course of this pandemic.
Well, COVID-19 has taken an unfair toll on our nation's nursing homes and long-term care facilities. And here in New York recently, we even learned that the numbers were even worse than we suspected. But over the past 2 months, most states, including New York, have focused on vaccinating people who live and work in these facilities. The numbers are now staggering, and they are far outpacing the decline in COVID infections among the general population as cases and deaths in long-term care facilities decline rapidly. Between late December and early February, positive COVID-19 cases fell by more than 80% in these facilities, and deaths in nursing homes and long-term care facilities have fallen 60%. In Chemung County, we've seen a total of 73 nursing home-related deaths, 43 inside the nursing home itself, another 30 confirmed in the hospital. And in Steuben County, there have been 85 nursing facility deaths, 19 at the hospital, 2 additional suspected deaths. But since late December, more than 4.5 million residents and staff in long-term care homes have received at least 1 dose of the vaccine. And starting Friday, new rules in New York will be in place for nursing home visitation. Governor Cuomo announcing that starting Friday, February 26th, visitors to nursing homes are being advised to take a rapid test, which will be provided to the facilities. That allows them to test any visitors right there on site. The facility also should be COVID-19 free for at least 14 days before allowing visitors inside. Now, according to Governor Cuomo, there's also another rule for counties where the positivity rate goes above 5%, but in Chemung County right now, Thursday's positivity rate was at 1.69%. Reporting for Big Fox News, I'm COVID-19 specialist Amanda Decker.
During the final week of Black History Month, doctors at Guthrie are hoping to encourage patients of color to get the COVID vaccine. Recent CDC data shows African Americans are being vaccinated far less than their white counterparts. Experts say a combination of historical injustices and mistrust in the healthcare industry could play a role in vaccine hesitancy among the Black community. Doctors stress the importance of getting everyone vaccinated.
A pandemic that has not excluded people of any race. If anything, in different pockets across the country, we've seen where it has been rather vindictive against Black populations. And therefore, we want a situation where we can protect everybody.
Guthrie encourages residents to keep an eye out for open appointments and vaccine clinics on their website. Two separate research teams say they found a new coronavirus variant in New York City, which was ground zero for the virus in the U.S. last spring and elsewhere in the Northeast. The variant carries mutations that may help it evade the body's natural immune response and antibody treatments. The research was conducted separately by Columbia University and Caltech. Neither study has yet been peer-reviewed or published in a scientific journal. The new variant, which has two mutations, was first seen in New York City in November. By mid-February, it accounted for more than a quarter of cases in the city. CVS is getting additional COVID-19 vaccines through the Federal Retail Pharmacy Program, and the company is adding Pennsylvania to its list of states where it will provide the shots. The pharmacy says 570,000 doses will be available in 17 states starting today. Originally, CVS was given 250,000 doses when it rolled out in 11 states on February 12th. They're now expanding to locations in Alabama, Arizona, Florida, Louisiana, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. CVS says it can administer 20 to 25 million shots per month. As the vaccine supply increases, more states will have access. Pfizer is testing if a third dose of its COVID-19 vaccine helps protect against new coronavirus variants. Study participants will receive a third dose 6 to 12 months after their earlier two doses. That third dose is exactly the same as the previous two. Then scientists will look at if they develop antibodies that protect against new virus strains. Pfizer is also talking to regulators about the possibility of testing a modified version of its vaccine against those variants. The company says there's no reason yet to think the mutations are resistant to its current formula, and it is just preparing for that possibility. Financial records for Steve Bannon's public-funded border wall effort were subpoenaed by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. Sources familiar with the matter say this is a sign the criminal probe into former President Donald Trump's chief strategist is progressing. Trump pardoned Bannon last month for federal conspiracy crimes linked to the Wall Project. The subpoenas were sent to Wells Fargo and GoFundMe, which is where We Build the Wall raised funds. Prosecutors claim Bannon diverted at least $1 million to a co-conspirator and to cover personal expenses. The Labor Department says another 730,000 Americans filed for first-time unemployment benefits last week. That's adjusted with seasonal swings. Add in claims made by contract workers through pandemic relief programs, and first-time claims totaled about 1.2 million. Still, it was fewer than economists predicted. Most of the sharp drops came from California and Ohio. There was also a decline in Texas, where extreme winter weather led to mass power and water outages. As we continue to celebrate and recognize Black History this month, reporter Imani Williams looks at the people behind the activism efforts in West Tennessee.
Activism.
Actively trying to make our community better.
From helping people register to vote for a historical election, organizing protests, and memorializing history, hundreds of people have showed up in West Tennessee for the voices that have not been heard for years. Wendy Trice Martin, with the help of the Society of African American Cultural Awareness, registered many people to vote for this past presidential election.
And I worked an election in the spring, and I noticed that the voter turnout was very low. And it concerned me because I knew that this was a very important election, the most important election of my lifetime.
Activist Tracy Boyd spearheaded many of the protests following the death of George Floyd. And he continues today as he seeks justice for many incarcerated African Americans in Madison County.
I understand that protests are not PTO meetings. I understand that rallies and protests, they're not there to make people feel comfortable. And anytime your protest makes the very people that you're protesting against feel comfortable, your protest is ineffective.
Dr. Cindy Boyles is a professor at the University of Tennessee at Martin, but she is also one of the main reasons a historical marker to memorialize lynching victims was placed in the Madison County Courthouse lawn.
When we finally got the approval from the county commission to put the marker in the courthouse yard, that was a big thing for our committee. Like, that's where the lynchings occurred. That's the proper place. That's where it needs to be.
They all have one thing in common. They saw a need in the community and went to action.
With always had to fight like hell for it. And so whatever changes that people are wanting to see, we're going to fight like hell for it.
Imani Williams, Fox 23 News, Jackson.
Celebrating Black History Month is brought to you by Corning Community College.
New York is allowing theme parks to start operating with limited capacity this spring. And that means one new park in Orange County will be opening its doors for the first time. Ben Nandy has this preview of Legoland and how it might help nearby businesses.
David Seligman, the owner of Sweet Time Sweet Shop in Goshen, tells me he's ready for an influx of new customers once Legoland New York opens down the road. He expects large orders, ice cream, chocolate, items from the nostalgia rack.
Because somebody's going to look and say, I haven't had bitter honey since I was 12 years old. I'm expanding what we actually make because it's going to be a different type of person coming here.
But when?
Our site is really starting to look like a theme park. We're super excited.
Legoland spokesman Matt Besterman tells me rides are being tested and employees are being recruited for jobs that start immediately. The governor just announced theme parks like Legoland can open at 33% capacity beginning on April 9th. So will Legoland open on April 9th?
We don't have an opening date to share just yet.
Besterman says to expect the announcement in the coming weeks. He says people who bought passes are going to be contacted soon about when they can finally come check out the 7 lands within Legoland.
You can see behind me, we're kind of snow covered at the moment, but it's hopefully the nice weather we're having today is kind of a sign of things to come. So we'll keep it moving forward, and we can't wait to show this off.
Up next, meteorologist Kim Walker has your forecast. And later, when it just won't go away, how some people struggle with residual COVID-related problems long term.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Tonight's Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Mattar. Good evening, everyone. I'm meteorologist Kim Walker with your weather update. A far cry from yesterday, as highs were in the 50s yesterday, not so today. In fact, it was about 10 to 15 degrees cooler for most of us. Reporting about 14 degrees cooler in Elmira, 10 in Corning, 16 in Watkins Glen, and also in Bath. The good news is warmer air will start to return tomorrow. In fact, the high pressure system that brought us those north cool winds will continue to shift to the east, to the Atlantic. We're going to see a return flow. That means that south winds will return, and it's going to bring a little bit warmer conditions as well. Add to that the sunshine, and I think we'll be about 5 degrees warmer than what we saw today. So here's a look at your forecast for tomorrow, hour by hour. At around 7 o'clock, it will be cold, starting off in the 20s, right at freezing at 9. But by the afternoon, it is going to be a little bit warmer than what we saw this afternoon. Again, we're going to enjoy plenty of sunshine for your Friday. However, we have another system that will be coming in. The good news is we're going to be on the warm sector of the system. So most of the precipitation will be falling as rain. If there is any moisture in the early morning hours, that will be a wintry mix, but all that will be changing over to non-frozen precipitation. So that's good news there. Let's take a look at our future radar for tonight. At around midnight, it looks like snow will be heading into northern Pennsylvania. And then by 3 o'clock in the morning, it looks like we could have some sleet and a wintry mix from Hornell to Bath to Corning. The rest of us, maybe just a few flurries. And then around 6 o'clock in the morning, most of this will be switching over to rain, and then throughout the day on Saturday, I'm expecting most of the precipitation to be as rain as that colder air moves away and warmer air will start to move in. So it's going to be off and on rain for your Saturday. I think most of it will be ending by the afternoon. So We do have the possibility of more precipitation this weekend. It is going to be dry tonight and cold. Temperatures diving down to around 20 degrees in Elmira, 22 in Corning, and 21 degrees in Hornell. Highs tomorrow, mainly in the 40s. We're looking at mid-40s for Elmira, but 38 degrees in Perkinsville, 42 in Elmira, Corning around 44, I should say, and 42 degrees in Watkins Glen. From there, we warm up to around 51 degrees, but we do have the possibility of a few showers that could linger into your Sunday, and then a cooler air will start to make its way back. We dive down into the 30s on Tuesday, but we're going to see plenty of sunshine.
Well, COVID-19 has been a part of our lives for more than a year now, but even with this much time, we're still learning about this virus's effects on the body, and a new study suggests that some people, even who have mild cases of COVID-19 infection, may experience symptoms for months. Mandy Gaither has more.
Most COVID-19 cases are asymptomatic, mild or moderate, but even in those cases, the coronavirus can have lasting effects even months later.
My symptoms are like constantly evolving, and I get the same symptoms again and again, and it's like one will kind of disappear and then others will come up.
More than a year into the pandemic, there's still a lot we don't know about the virus and how it affects those who get it. But a new research letter published in the journal JAMA Network Open says 30% of more than 175 COVID patients the group researched, most of whom had mild symptoms and no hospitalization, still had persistent symptoms up to 9 months later. The most common were fatigue and loss of smell or taste.
We're like rubber bands. We just want to kind of snap back to the way that we were before. So I think that has been one of the biggest challenges. But if people are not able to do that and they keep pushing, that is when the symptoms just do not get better.
Dr. Dana McCarthy works with those suffering from post-COVID symptoms at the Center for Post-COVID Care at Mount Sinai Health System in New York. She says a majority of her patients are in their 20s to 50s, and with time and care, the symptoms recede.
We are seeing patients get better. It's just glacially slow.
Dr. McCarthy says much more research is needed to better understand post-COVID syndrome, including a better understanding of who gets it and how best to treat them.
The CDC has found masks may be the key to stopping COVID-19 from spreading. In recently published reports, researchers linked the lack of masks at gyms to COVID-19 outbreaks. Over the course of a week in late August, 60% of those who attended in-person classes at one Chicago gym tested positive. Chicago and CDC researchers say the facility did temperature checks but did not require masks. Another study from Hawaii linked a fitness instructor to 21 cases in July. The instructor led a class with no masks for 10 people a few hours before experiencing symptoms, and all 10 participants tested positive. But 2 days before experiencing symptoms, that same instructor led a yoga class with 27 people who were all wearing masks, and none of them tested positive. The CDC says increased respiratory exertion helps the virus spread. Ghana is now the first country to receive COVID-19 vaccines through the World Health Organization's COVAX program. The shipment consisted of 600,000 doses of AstraZeneca vaccines. The shots were produced by the Serum Institute of India. They are part of the first wave of COVID-19 vaccines headed to low and middle income nations. Last month, India and the African Union announced plans for the Serum Institute to supply 400 million total doses of COVID-19 vaccines across Africa. Even in a pandemic, a new year is a perfect opportunity for a fresh start. And with the vaccines now here and the economy slowly starting to recover, it may be a good time to take a closer look at your finances. Mandy Gaither shows us the 5 money moves you should be making this year.
This 2021, get financially fit. Whether you want to trim your budget, strengthen your credit, or maximize your savings, one expert says these 5 money moves are key even in a pandemic.
A lot of us have experienced setbacks, but I do want to encourage you that it's not too late to turn things around.
Number 1, work out a system. Use a free app or your own spreadsheet to track your expenses and see where you need to cut back.
Once you see where your money is going, it will be very obvious where to cut back, and you'll naturally want to put a budget into place from there.
Number 2, tone up your emergency savings. She recommends starting out with at least $1,000 to cover surprise expenses.
We can see this year with coronavirus and everything that happened in 2020 and still in 2021, cash is king.
Number 3, slim down your debt. She recommends you start with paying off credit cards, which tend to have the highest interest rates. Number 4, grow your investments. Either use an automated stock market investment app or speak to an expert. She says look for a fee-only financial advisor, not someone that's getting paid based on commission.
The earlier you invest, the better. Time is your biggest advantage.
Number 5, bulk up your passive income. This move will generate money earned after some time, like rental income from real estate you own or portfolio income from investments.
Once your passive income exceeds your living expenses, you're retired. You're financially independent.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Mandy Gaither reporting.
Some retailers are counting on shoppers to come back to their stores with a vengeance. The CEO of TJ Maxx tells analysts he predicts so-called revenge shopping will erupt once most Americans can get the COVID-19 vaccine. Revenge shopping is a theory that says people who have been cooped up for an extended period of time will fork out lots of money on purchases. The National Retail Federation is forecasting sales will grow to more than $4.3 trillion in 2021. That would be the largest growth reported since 2004. Samsung announcing it plans to let customers try out its new Z series flip and fold cell phones. The company calling it buy and try, with the trial period running 100 days. The offer covers the company's new Fold 2 phone. It opens and closes like a book. You can use it closed like a standard smartphone, open like a tablet, or in what they call flex mode as a video screen. An 8-year-old girl in Wisconsin has started her own business to help fight homelessness among children and their families. Caroline Reinwald introduces us to this little girl with a big heart who is making a huge difference.
Letitia Anderson says the concept of homelessness hit her daughter Peyton hard at a very young age.
It was my uncle, and he was homeless for a while, and then she started doing research, and she was like, oh my gosh, there's homeless children.
I felt bad and thankful at the same time that I didn't end up like that.
According to Wisconsin's Department of Public Instruction, more than 18,000 students across the state were homeless in 2019. Peyton learned many more nationwide.
More than 2.5 million children that are just like me that are homeless. And I was like, yeah, no, that's not happening.
So Peyton started raising money.
Hi guys, I'm Peyton.
Selling t-shirts and handmade heart-shaped crayons online and in pop-up shops around southeast Wisconsin. And after all that work, this month Peyton met the director of Joy House, a Milwaukee women's shelter, with a $500 check and toys for each child living there.
To have someone so young, excited about giving to individuals that are less fortunate than she is awesome. And I'm hoping that it can be something that spreads.
That must have been so exciting.
Yes, because it was like it happened so quickly.
What's your next goal?
Next goal is to get it to $1,000.
$1,000?
Yes.
We want to leave you with a smile tonight. A Florida teacher says a good Samaritan went the extra mile after finding her lost wallet. Deborah Crosby's doorbell camera recorded this man at the door of her home. In the video, he says he found her wallet, then leaves it in a safe place outside the door. Crosby says she lost it while shopping at Walmart, and on her way home, her home security system notified her that someone was at her door. She says the man had to drive about 20 minutes to get from that store to her home. She's calling him her guardian angel for returning that wallet, but his identity remains unknown. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great night.